What is up, you guys? Welcome back to another podcast. I hope everybody is having a great day. In today's podcast, we're going to be talking about balance. And I want to talk about this, first of all, because I've been going through a little bit of depression and I want to talk about a few things. And I want to talk about more specifically how I'm working through it to help give you guys some tools so then that way you guys can also learn how to work through it yourselves. When it comes to depression or anxiety or being able to stay into routine, more specifically a routine that's productive, one that makes you happy. Overall, if you're just like not enjoying life, but like your life gives you and you have good things in your life to enjoy, but it's like for some reason you can't enjoy them, or you feel like you can't, or you feel off, or you feel off centered, or maybe you've been grinding for the last however many months and you've ran into a rut. It's like, okay, what do I do to get myself back into a routine that feels really good for me, but that's also like the most productive for my life, so that I can live the life that I want, so I can work towards the goals that I want, because I feel like I can't right now. Everything just feels off-centered, and it's like I have no energy to get to, the routine or to be in the place that I was even just like a couple weeks ago or like a month ago. So how do we find that place? How do we get back into flow? How do we so on and so forth? That's what I want to talk about. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support on the podcast. I do appreciate it a lot. If you haven't yet, make sure to click follow and subscribe to the podcast, because I do put these out every single week on Thursdays at 5 a.m., baby. So let's get down to business. I'm going to be running through a couple of topics. And first, I want to start off with how I've been doing lately. I want to talk about this, first of all, because I feel like it helps me put it out there in the universe about what I'm going through. But then also, it helps me in a way where I get to voice things that also help me get better. And I also like to be transparent with you guys about these things from time to time, because it's real and we all go through it, and it's kind of inevitable in the life that we live, but there are also ways to make it easier for yourself. So for example, for me, the last couple of months, especially like December, November, and even the month before that, I was grinding, you guys. I was working like 12, 16-hour days, nonstop. I would maybe take the weekends off, but I did get caught up in working on Saturdays as well. So my balance was kind of thrown off track a little bit. And I didn't have any set not negotiables. I didn't have any set non-negotiables to keep me on track with taking care of myself. I was just overdoing it. And I got to a place at burnout where a couple weeks ago, it caught up to me. I started to feel a little bit anxious. I remember 2 weeks ago, it was Monday. I just finished my weekend and I'm about to start my week of work. And I get this big whiff of anxiety. I got all kinds of anxiety and it sucked. And I felt nauseous thinking about my work week, thinking about the new things in my life, about everything. And usually with me, I know that when I am myself completely, I feel like I'm like, okay, I know I have all these hard things in front of me, but I feel 100% willing and able to do, whatever I can to just do a good job and to like do my best. And I know that I'm going to work through it. I feel hopeful. I feel ambitious. I feel, I also feel graceful. But in that moment, a couple weeks ago, I was feeling the complete opposite. And I was like, whoa, what is this emotion? What is going on here? And then so I was like, okay, I put that emotion to the side and then continued on with my week. And then as the week went on, and again, this is a couple weeks ago, as the week went on, I felt more anxious, more stressed than I have in a really long time. And by the end of the week, I was like feeling like I was underneath the mountain. I was feeling like everything was like crumbling on top of me, even though things have been going really well. Like, it's not like anything crazy has happened at all. It was just how I was feeling, more specifically because I was hustling for the last however many months nonstop, without taking a break. And then I was thinking back alongside of this as well. I'm like, I've been in this place before. I know myself, and I know that I was hustling. So, and I was working hard, and that wasn't a bad thing. But at the same time, it's like when I was hustling, I was feeling good about it. I'm like, I know that I've burnt out before and all this stuff, and it's not like I was completely throwing myself off at the edge. But then when I think about it, I kind of was, because I wasn't getting enough sleep and all this kind of stuff. But I was like, how can I be in a place where I feel really good hustling, and then I get to a place of burnout still, and I'm like, what's going on here? So, you know, after that last week, the week after, which was last week, I just decided to take it a little bit easier. I still worked a little bit of the week, but I took like when it came Thursday, I was like, okay, I can't work anymore. Like, I feel exhausted. I need like mental break. This is exhausting. Friday, I was like, maybe I'll work, maybe I won't. But I was still in a place of like trying to figure it out. And I was thinking back, I'm like, man, I've been here so many times. Why is it taking me so long to figure this thing out? This thing of like, why is it so hard for me to recognize when I'm not doing well? Why is it so hard for me to recognize when I'm extremely stressed? And also, then why is it so hard for me to take care of myself when it matters the most? And I feel like it just has to do with, pressure to be a certain way, to be at a certain level, to, we have amazing goals, which are beautiful, but then we, get to a place where we compare ourselves, and then we pressure ourselves, and so on and so forth. And then so I decided to then take the weekend. I took some time off to chill a little bit more. And then now coming into this week on, until, what was it, Monday and Tuesday. Monday, I took it a little bit easier, and Tuesday, I took it a little bit easier. But here's the thing. Tuesday night, I was, I worked about 8 hours. So I was like, okay, this is a pretty good amount of work. I did what I needed, which is one of the things I'm going to talk about here. And then I went to the gym, and then I basically just kind of took the evening off. And I wasn't doing much. I was like watching TV. I meditated. I read. I played the guitar. Took my dog out. All that fun stuff. And then I got to a place where I'm like feeling anxious, and I was overthinking resting, and I was overthinking recovery, and I was overthinking like, I just feel anxious. Like I can't even enjoy this moment right now. And then I was thinking to myself, and I was using ChatGPT to help me unravel all these things. And I was like, how can I be in a place where I feel so anxious about life that I can't even do life? And then I get to the point where I have this free time, and then I can't even enjoy it to the point that I want to enjoy it. And so here's what I want to talk about today. Here's what I want to talk about. I feel like each and every single one of us has a certain capacity at which we should work to the point where it feels good. Like we've gotten something done today. That's our nature as human beings. It doesn't matter who you are. But then I feel like when that's not fulfilled in a day, obviously you're going to feel somewhat anxious if you're just hanging around, not really doing much, like you kind of have a lot of time. Normal. But then there's a flip side where you have to manage recovery. You have to manage burnout. And you can't also do too much. You have to manage how much your workload is. So then that way you don't get to that point where you do burnout, right? So there's a whole lot of things in there when it comes to creating balance for yourself. But I think having a little bit of a system can help a lot. So when it comes to balance, number one, balance is not all or nothing. If you're trying to find like a perfect formula for creating balance in your life, it can change day to day. Like it's not going to be this like set in stone, very specific thing. And it also changes based on the season of life that you're in. As life changes, balance is going to change for you. Number two, redefine what doing nothing means to you. Is doing nothing, sitting at home, feeling anxious about not doing anything? Or is doing nothing, going out and having a good time with friends, going out and enjoying something that actually makes you happy? Number three, address the anxiety around free time. You need to define what your free time looks like, which is the last point that I just talked about. because then that's going to help you redefine what your free time looks like. So then you have less anxiety about it. If your free time is filled with things that you actually enjoy, that you actually, you know, can take part in and like, then you're going to have a lot less anxiety doing it. But you have to ask yourself the question, like, okay, if I have all this free time and I feel super anxious about it, well, maybe I should try something different. Number 4, take weekends off or reduce the workload. If you own a business, you don't need to work the weekends. You don't. And I've been through this so many times where I've worked 7 days a week, hustled, like for months on end. I mean, quote unquote, that's where I developed a little bit of a drinking problem and started smoking cigarettes to cope as a vice. And it's not the healthiest. You have to think long term for what a good routine looks like for you to get the most amount of work done throughout the week, but while also giving yourself that time back so then you can get right back to the grind. Number 5, enjoy downtime through structure. Some people enjoy downtime more when it's intentional and structured, meaning that, you set up your days in a way where you get your work done, you get in some movement, you get in some health stuff, but then you have only a select amount of time to enjoy something, but not too much time. It makes it that much more enjoyable to enjoy the thing that is your free time. Number 6, your feelings about time are valid. Feeling like time is short and I'm not doing enough can come from high standards for yourself, which is very normal, a lack of clarity about what you're working towards, and then a tendency to overfocus on the future. And it's super normal to feel this way, especially if you're a high performer like myself. That's why it's super important that we find ways to manage this, because if you don't, then your mind is just going to take over your life, and that's not what you want to happen. Number 7, transition from work to rest. When you work throughout the day, you need to have a select amount of time at the end of the day to just recoup, do nothing, shut things off, get your mind off something. It doesn't need to be all the time in the world, even an hour or 2, whatever it may be, just to do something that allows you to, get to that place where it's like, today was an enjoyable day. Today was good. Today I had enough time to take care of myself, but then also take care of what was needed to live the life that I want. And to also do good in my life. So remember, it's okay to feel like you're still figuring this out. We're not all perfect. Downtime, like work or like learning a new skill, it takes practice. Experiment with small changes, like taking the weekends off or maybe working a little bit less on the weekends. Or what I have started to think about more so is just trying to stay in flow with myself about how I want to work or how I want work to go. Meaning that I know that if I have a lot of free time where it's almost kind of like too much, I'm going to feel a little anxious about it. So I should fill my day with a good amount of work that allows me to be productive while still working towards my work goals, etc. And then taking at least enough time off in the evenings to give myself some time back, whether that might be going out for dinner or, having an hour to myself or maybe even a couple. You don't have to do it all today. Let yourself grow into balance. Balance is something to not avoid. It's something that is an ongoing thing. So is life. And it takes time to figure yourself out. But that's why I wanted to talk about this on the podcast today, because I just wanted to let you know that everybody is always figuring themselves out. That's an ongoing thing that never ends, because we're constantly growing, constantly evolving, and it's just, we never get to a point where things are just perfect. But in those moments where you're burnt out or you're stressed out, it feels like that. Even though I know all these things, I still get to the place when I overwork myself and I don't take care of myself in the way that I need, where, I feel like I'm out of control, or I feel like I'm not where I need to be, or I feel like I'm not doing enough, or I feel like, all this stuff. And you have to think in a way where, okay, how can I go about my days to make sure that I can live them to the fullest without burning myself out for the rest of my life? And I feel like that's one of the negatives of the so-called hustle culture of today's day and age, because they feel like that's like the only way to live a rich life. But you have to identify like what a good life or like a rich, full life looks and feels like to you. Like you truly have to know what that is and you have to identify it. And that's still something that I'm working on to this day. And it's, I'm assuming that it's something that I'm going to be working on for, a long time, and I'll just continue to get better at it. But you have to embrace it. You have to accept it. And, you have to let go of those thoughts. So I hope that this message, reaches you in a way that's positive and uplifting and hopefully eases anxiety today, because there's too much of that in this world. Please take care of yourself. Please, find those ways. And I find that understanding the difference between work time and downtime and kind of padding out your weeks a little bit when you're someone who does have to work a lot, I find that helps a lot. So, anywho, make sure to follow the podcast if you haven't yet. Thanks again, guys, for listening. I hope that you guys have a calming, chill, but also productive week that isn't filled with anxiety, doubts, or anything like that. We're all learning. We're all going through life different, in different ways. Not even at different stages per se, but just in different ways. We're not all the same. And that's just how it is. So take it easy, rest up, approach your weeks and your days with a positive mindset to do what's needed for work that day, but also to do what's needed for yourself. All right. Have an amazing day. Much love and peace out.